Hi everybody, this is Adele Levine, intuitive and medium. Welcome back to those who are continuously watching my videos, and thanks for the support. Those who are here new, welcome. Feel free to comment on the subject matter, and I love hearing from you guys, and I try to get back to you as soon as I possibly can on all the comments. So today this video is going to be about, do spirits attach to the living? Okay, so before we get started, I'm just gonna call it like it is. I don't know if you can see, but I'm wearing, for those who follow my podcast with Mystic Dylan, The Witch and the Medium, we have t-shirts. You can't really see the back, but if you go to our Instagram, The Witch and the Medium, you can see that. And I think I've already featured this cup on here, so that's kind of awesome for those of you who follow our podcast, The Witch and the Medium. Okay, let's get to it. So spirits attaching is something I hear a lot about. Let's face it, it's something that is sold to people quite a bit, meaning like, how many times have you might have received a reading or healing, or there's someone who's claiming there's a haunting in your house, and now, or that you've gone to some place that's haunted, you know, I have to do quotes, and is basically saying, you know, the spirit is now like following you home, like in the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. So let me just get straight to the point, because you know that's what I like to do. No, that's just not a thing. It's just not a thing. I'm just gonna say this. It's not a thing. Spirits aren't attaching themselves to you. They're not hanging out on your physical self. Let me explain. I know some of you are going to say, listen, I've seen people, some people look like there's something attached to them, or I would say better, puppeteering them might even be more accurate way of describing it. And I'll explain. So in the spirit world, remember, I've said this, and if you haven't seen this, because I get a lot of comments that sometimes people see this video comes up, probably people find a video and they ask about, you know, subject matters that I've already, you know, covered. So just so you know, I've covered the differences between spirits and ghosts. There's a video on that, and I did a video on the truth about hauntings. You can also check that out. So I've kind of covered some of this subject matter on those videos, but not about the attachment. So do spirits attach to us? If you go to a place that's haunted, and you go to some place that you think has a lot of activity, are they going to follow you home like at Disneyland on the Haunted Mansion? No, because you have to remember, what do I always say? The most thing I try to emphasize on these videos is to take away our world from that world, meaning what we know of this world does not apply to that world. There are different rules, and I'm sorry, my cat, of course, this wouldn't be a video without my cat deciding she wants to be a part of it, and I appreciate her love, but you know, it's a little distracting. But it's not complete without her getting my attention. But yes, so the spirits don't need to attach. We're kind of implying that we're kind of almost kind of doing the same thing. Like if someone you broke up with, someone you're trying to get away from, someone you're like, okay, please get out of my, you know, my sphere, so to speak, of life, and they like stalk you on Instagram, stalk you on Facebook, you know, they like calling and blowing up your phone and texting and all this, and we kind of see that as the same. I think that's what people imply, that spirits are gonna, like, now that you've made this contact, they're just gonna like follow you home. It's not necessary, because there is no following home. So just kind of imagine if you knew stuff about somebody who is on social media and they're like, what did you do, follow me home? And you're like, no, you posted the picture on your social media for the whole world to see, so I kind of already know about it. It's like that times, what do I always say, a million. So it's just like that. They don't need to follow people. There is a truth to the fact that if you have like a little Wi-Fi frequency frequency, okay? Meaning, if there's something about your energy that's very connected to that realm, and you go to a place that everybody else goes to, like if you go to cemeteries and things, people think that there's more activity in cemeteries. There isn't more activity in cemeteries. It's just that when people go to cemeteries, or they go to places that they've heard have a lot of activity, people are very alert and aware and ready to hear from the spirit realm. So therefore that attracts other spirits that have nothing to do with the space at all, even including your own family members and things, who say, okay, they're gonna open up and listen to us finally, and so maybe we'll grab their attention. So if you have this Wi-Fi about you, also if you already are someone who's very aware and open to listen and open to communicate, yes, that's the cat. I swear to God, there was like silence, and I'm now determined, because I know cats are telepathic and they sense things. That, you know, she knows what's up. She knows. So if you already kind of like having this high vibrational energy, that you already are very connected to that realm. So if you go to a place that has activity, that's known for having a high activity, and once again, I cover that in the video about hauntings, the truth about hauntings, then they're going to kind of feel like, okay, you're very open, you want to talk. If you're going to go into these type of spaces, if you're going to open yourself up to seeing what is around, then make sure that you're putting a protection around you. And I have another video on that, on spirit communication and how to cleanse and protect, and that you're being very clear about who you want to connect to, how you want to connect. And as you leave, it's kind of like hanging up the phone, or making sure you're closing your browser. So it's making sure you're closing your browser, meaning like if you're going to go and you want to open, if you're ghost hunting, if you like one of those people who want to go, oh, I heard this place is real spooky, and that's what you like, then you got to understand that you're kind of just, basically, it's not that creepy, it's not that crazy. You're just saying like, hey guys, I want to talk, I'm down for it, it's cool, I'm good, I'm not one of those people who are going to freak out, it's all fine. And that's when people think something followed them home. It's not something followed a home. You logged on to the line, you open the line, and it's up for you to close the line. So for instance, when I do gallery readings, or I do classes, or I do seances, I open up that line a lot wider and a lot bigger, and before people leave, I tend to close it. A few times I've forgotten, and people have said, oh, I've had dreams, I had things happening, and that's because I didn't close the gates, close that line. So it's not they're attaching themselves. It's not like, I think people like to look at it, because I feel that people like this idea of like, oh, this spirit is like kind of jumped on my bandwagon and, likes me or needs something from me. And once again, my other thing that I try to let people know, they don't need you. You need them more than they need you. So it's not anything to do with that. It's just, if you imagine walking around completely invisible, no one knows you're there, no one knows you exist. Very few people are open to it, and even the ones that are open to it are very afraid of it. And you know who you are, which is pretty much everybody, because I always say to people, believe me, I hear people want to have these experiences and are excited about the experiences, but then I get a lot of emails and messages from people going, oh my God, this stuff is starting to happen, and what does that mean? So those who a lot of times say they want this, and then let's just say it like it is, shit gets real, and it starts to happen, they get a little freaked out. So it's not attaching, it's just like, hey, you said you wanted to talk. It's the same as if you're in your house and you're trying to open yourself up to that spirit realm, and you're like, hey, I want to talk, and then you kind of start getting some activity. It's like that. Now, I will say, with that said, is it true, and I have seen, and I can see this, if people are kind of, let's say, kind of like you've seen sometimes where people are on the street talking to themselves, or you see someone yelling at something. Is it true that maybe, and that's a whole nother video about drugs and alcohol and different things, that if it's excessive, does it rip open, almost like opening up a little portal inside your spirit? So you have to see your spirit almost like a sphere circle. kind of like an energy, a ball of energy. That's really how our spirit is. It's not up and down like I know it's depicted in pictures, which is cool and everything, and they look cool, but it's actually like a sphere, like a ball of energy. And when that ball of energy is circling around you and you just kind of rip open kind of a hole in it, meaning when you are not guarded, when you're on stuff, when you're tripping out and you're doing things, and I don't mean just when you're just tripping out. Thanks. I have both the cats decided to join in. I don't mean just when you're just tripping out, like, you know, you're just having a little trip. I'm talking about people who are doing something to the excessive. I'm just going to have to, excuse me, before she knocks everything down, we're going to have to say no. Oh, thanks. Not an earthquake, just the cats. Obviously the subject matter is very intense for these little spirits, cats, that, like, I feel animals pick up on these type of things. I know mine do. Anyway, sorry again, third time's a charm of interruption, but there you go. Third time energy. So yeah, so when those type of energies, people are having those type of things, I do see what we call the monkey on this person's back, meaning like they aren't able to control and push out things that kind of take advantage. It's kind of like little gremlins, little bad boys and girls that think it's fun to kind of mess with people who are vulnerable and not able to control the sphere of energy around them. And so it does kind of rip these holes, and it's also because a lot of times those people, I believe, are like going through pain, or maybe even the things are depicted as being crazy, or just maybe they have some kind of ability and they never could control it. There's various reasons, and I'm not saying that this doesn't happen, and I'm sure people will say, listen, I've seen things on someone. That's a different subject, which I will do a video about. I'm waiting. I'm kind of spacing this out. I kind of want to do kind of jump back and forth between subjects. I don't want everything to be heavy and spook people out, and so I'm going to do a video on, is there holes that rip open in people who do take some kind of drugs or alcohol and things excessively. I'm not just talking about you sitting at home having your glass of wine watching this. I'm talking, you know what I'm talking about, people who are really lost. And I'll do a video on that, and me and Dylan on The Witch in the Medium actually did cover that on a question in our Q&A episode. But that's to say, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people who I know, who tell me all the time, ask me all the time, look, I went to this place, it was kind of trippy, I feel like something like followed me home. I feel like something's attached to me now, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm here to tell you that is really not what's happening. So how do you make sure that you don't, if you're a person who's like into ghost hunting, I'm personally don't big onto ghost hunting for obvious reasons, but also because I feel like when people are doing that, they're basically going down to the corner of downtown at 2 in the morning and saying, oh, let's see if we can find some trouble, and those who want to like give you that trouble is going to give you that trouble. That's just kind of why I don't do it. Wow, my kid's driving me crazy. I can't believe how loud she's being. So anyway, so I would just say what you need to do is just go ahead and make sure you put your protection around you, put energy around you. Make sure that you cleanse your space before and after, and put your intention and use whatever protectors you use if you're going to put yourself in a place like that, or if you're opening yourself, and watch the how to protect yourself when when you're opening yourself up to communicating with spirits. And so that's kind of the long and short of it. This is going to be kind of short and sweet. I'm so sorry. I hope this isn't like, I'm always worried like things are just going to drive people crazy, but I know that she's loud. I know the air conditioner is loud, but these are things sometimes I just can't help, because locking up the cats in the room, not locking up, but just putting them in a room for like a minute. Of course I don't lock them up, but putting them in the room for the minute, and they're just going to kind of make more noise. So anyway, so I hope that helps. And like I said, you can refer back to some of these other videos I did on these subject matters, but you don't have to be leery of it. I know people may have some stories you want to share, and that's totally fine. I just want to say, like, go ahead and comment and say the things you want to say, but I just want to tell you that if you're going to say like your personal story, and I get a lot of these, and people say, oh, what do you think happened? I honestly don't like to give just kind of flip it like answers, meaning like I kind of have to read the situation. I don't like to go, oh, for sure it's this or for sure it's that. If it's kind of more generalization, like shadow people, which I have a video on, or something like that. But when people are like, oh, I had this thing happen, and they give me the whole long story and they want to know, it's just kind of like I'm just commenting on what I feel like it could be. I'm not reading the situation. So sometimes if I'm not answering those, it's because I really, unless I'm actually in a reading and advising that person and kind of diving into it, I may not comment back and tell you something for sure. It's all about ethics for me, and not ever misguiding or emotionally manipulating anybody. Okay, and also it is kind of what I do. I do readings. All right, so if you want to find out more about me and what I do, you can go to AdeaLevine.com. Obviously, you can follow me on Instagram, Adea Levine. I'm on, yes, the Witch and the Medium podcast, which is with my co-host, who's a witch, and I'm the medium. Hold on. And we post those weekly. You can find us on Spotify and it's called iPod now, not iTunes, just so everybody knows. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of keep that short and sweet. I think the next one I do, I really kind of want to get, maybe into do one about Archangel Michael. I did a poll on my YouTube here, and people wanted this one far more than the Archangel one. But I kind of want some ideas from you that are kind of more like in the psychic realm, intuitive realm, so to speak, or seeing time or understanding time, or what you guys want to know about energy, or about kind of not just the spirit stuff, but maybe something else in that realm, about different dimensions or maybe higher beings or something like that. Let me know what you guys think. I like hearing from you guys. I super appreciate it. I'm going to be posting this week. The next time I'm going to be going live. I know it's been a couple of weeks, but I will let you know, and stay tuned. And it's actually coming up soon, and doing some live readings for you guys. So thanks you guys so much. Thanks for all your support. Follow yourself. Follow no one. Listen to yourself. Listen to those answers inside of you. Trust that more. And don't worry, you can open yourself up. Oh, by the way, that includes Ouija boards and spirit boards. If you do that, I've covered that too in other videos. Put the protection around. But remember, when you're thinking of the realm, do not take the rules of the physical